What's up, friends, and welcome into Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast live. Week 17 breakdown, the final iteration of this, the entire season. I'm Chris Welsh. That is the Bogman. Scott Bogman's in the house. This is our final one. We were here for you week 1. We're here for you week 17. Championships in the books, on the line, or flushed down the toilet.
It's lots of champs. Lots of champs showing up. Yeah, the happy people show up. They want the breakdown for sure. I don't know how much might be some bitter runners up preparing for fantasy baseball right now. And
some bitter bettors that are out there too, because there are some winners and some losers, and that is just in the actual player market as well. We are going to be breaking down the games that happened today, which was really a horrible slate of morning games, 2 afternoon games, which were kind of garbage as well. Like the Packers, Vikings looked like it ended up.
At least it ended nicely, but yeah, it was
a big pile of garbage that was out there. Just a horrible slated thing that was put in front of us, unfortunately, unless you won and you had all the great players.
Of course, then it was great. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I've seen this fervor breaking out on the X and the blue skies and all the social medias. What do you think about people talking about ending the season a week earlier? Then it's before the holidays, and we had a lot of guys rest today, or guys play, very few snaps. James Conner came in and left immediately. A couple guys also came in. I don't know if you saw the bowl games or guys opting out at halftime. That's some of these lopsided scores, but
yeah, I know. CD Lamb. Here's the problem with that. Instead of it's going through more, here's the problem. Week 14 or 15 bye weeks doesn't work. It's not going to work if they're going to have bye weeks that are going to go. What was the bye week? Wasn't it?
It was 14.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to end in week 16, is that going to work? The first round of the championship is going to have buys. I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm down with it. And then, and you got people like Pretty Hate Machine right here. Or I'm sorry, this one right here. That was our account responding to it, where saying, I still have one more week to go. Ooh. Okay. I feel sorry for you. It's going to get gross. I would be down for it to go a little bit earlier. It's difficult with the bye weeks pushing as far as it is. But this was a true.
We have to wait and see the schedule. If they decide to, do no bye weeks, week 14, then okay. But
this was a true test, though, for everybody, because it was massive players. We're going to shut them down. Players, like you said, coming in for a tiny bit. The Black Shears of the world, the Abdullahs, the Kendre Millers. Like, we had a whole lot of that stuff thrown at us. Got a big question we are going to ask. We have no Deepak Chona. I want to give a shout out to Deepak, who's been with us the entire season, by the way. So shout out, to our boy Deepak, who's been hanging with us. No injuries this week, because it doesn't matter, because we aren't here next week, though we still have pods that are going on, but breaking down any of the massive injuries in our faces. So shout out to him. We're going to be breaking down today's slate of games, as I mentioned to you. So make sure you're locked into that. But friends, we've still got freebies. We got giveaways to give. Christmas may be over, but the giving doesn't stop here. Your chance to win a signed Jackson Smith and Jigba autograph helmet for free. Maybe he helped you to a championship. Well, this is courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com. Head on over to fantasypros.com/contest. Complete the form. Then you can either download the My Playbook app, leave a review for the podcast, follow us on the socials, X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Fantasy Pros. And the more actions you do, the more entries you can receive, and we will be announcing the winner. I'm going to guess we have a live stream coming up this week. I'm not saying this is official, but we have a live stream coming up, I think, on Thursday to finish it out. I'm going to guess we're going to announce the winner here. Winner most likely should be announced this week because it's the end of the month. So the December giveaway, an autographed Jackson Smith in Jigba helmet, courtesy of our friends over at Pristine Auction. You guys go and win that. That would be pretty sweet, my friends. Before we get to the games, here's the question I have to ask. So I'm going to ask the chat, the people that are here, who won you your championship and who lost you this championship? Now, I say this as a very isolated thing because we could look over 3 weeks, 4 weeks or something like that. But what are you going to carry into next season? Let's present a couple players who maybe won some championships. I can tell you this right now. Not going to remember any of these players. The next group of players are going to be the ones I'm going to carry over. But some players that may have won you your championship this week. How about Devontae Smith with all them dropping the big catch last week, back with all the big touchdowns. Adam Thielen helped me in 2 different spots. Our dual pentathlon league, FFPC. but I know he sunk you as well.
Sunk me in my home league against one of our buddies, the one that probably I talked to the most. So
Yeah.
I get to
this one
off season with that. Yeah,
Melvin
Higgins.
T. Higgins with the big one, big hope there. This was another one in here. I'm glad someone said this. J-Rob, how about Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield with a 5 spot for everybody in the championship.
5 piece in a biscuit. That's right.
Unreal. Brian Thomas was the gift that kept on giving throughout the season. And this is a great one. And, and hat tip, it was a funny discussion. Jalen McMillan was an absolute winner. Fitzy and I came onto the live stream this morning, and every question was McMillan, but we were talking wild stuff. And I we kind of poo-pooed it a little bit. There were spots where you wanted to play him, but it was like, do I start McMillan over like AJ Brown? Hindsight, it definitely worked out. But I saw someone in here that was like, hey, despite what I heard, I still played. But I know that Debro and Pisapia were very, very big on McMillan. So hopefully you guys had him in some lineups. I know he was a big
Godwin
one.
next year either. He's a free agent. So
if he doesn't return.
Yeah.
Bucky from Melissa was one that definitely brought you in. Did I have any others? No, T. Higgins, Thielen, Smith. I think those are guys that we're going to carry into this year. So never that happy, garbage and crap. Who lost you this week? May I present to start? Well, it's a bet. I was going to say Jordan Love, but he did finish with a touchdown and 185, which would have been nice if he would have done that in the first half as well. How about Josh Downs? How about the presentation of what we were going to get out of Josh freaking Downs this week? He's going to be the guy. He was in almost as many snaps, it looked like, as Adonai Mitchell. Never was getting the ball. Flacco looked to everybody but him. Josh Downs, an absolute bum from the fantasy perspective for our teams. Bogman, very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, Pittman finally had a good week, which has not happened most of the year. He just kept throwing to the outside. Flacco did. It was Pierce. It was Pittman. And if he threw over the middle, it was usually to Cranston. So only 4 targets for Downs. A lot of people complaining about the Colts defense that was supposed to do so well against Drew Lock. You even text me because we had to start Drew Lock in our pentathlon league. And he just carved up 4 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown with 0 rushing yards. None for Drew Lock, and he scored a rushing touchdown. Hilarious.
Yeah, it was the greatest thing ever. We had to start. Abdullah and Drew Lock was actually, you're right. Drew Lock was the savior on the positive. Another one was Neighbors on the positive range. Neighbors was huge if you started him. Also hurting you, James Conner, probably going to go into next year.
Yeah.
Oof. How about Nico? Guppy said Nico. Yep. Nico was a big hurt. Melvin Adunze, Pickens. Yeah, there were some big ones. How about also Devon Achane? So, Fitzy and I we definitely weren't against McMillan, but it was big decisions. But we were very against Devon Achane. We were very sit Achane across the board. And that one paid off. And if you had him in your starting lineup, that probably hurt you. Any others, drop them in the chat. Just curious. Who do you love? Who do you hate coming off of this week? There's probably some big ones that we're all going to be taking with us. Dredis said, sat Achane everywhere, which is probably
I also told Dredis we were saying to start Keenan Allen or T. Higgins on Monday, and Keenan Allen had 13 targets 2 straight weeks, and T. Higgins was gimpy. So she definitely went with Keenan, and that's my bad, Dredis. I owe you however much that lead cost, I think. So tough one.
That one does hurt a little bit more. Anybody else, Boggs, on the positive and the negatives?
I don't think so. I think we can get into these games now.
All right. Well, we will I don't even know if we need to do our normal transitions. I don't think we do because Deepak's not going. So we'll just get right into these bad boy games here. Jumping in, starting off with our recap. We will start off with the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles. The Eagles were putting it down. We saw Pickett in there for 143. He ended up 10 for 15 before getting knocked out for a bit. We saw McKeon there, who looked pretty solid as well.
AJ Brown tosses first touchdown into the crowd,
and they had to negotiate to get it back. AJ Brown, his day ended up being saved as we were advocating starting him. 3 for 36 and a score. Devontae 6 for 120 and 2 scores. Saquon went for over 167, so he is within reach of that total marker. He went over 2,000 for the year. Rush ended up going 147 and a couple picks. Dowdle went for 104, had a fumble though. Cooks 4 for 52. Tolbert had a touchdown. Anything you want to break down in this Eagles Cowboys game?
I mean, I just hope Hurts is back because this is McKee. I mean, this was fine performance and it won them the game this week, but Saquon getting 31 carries right here before the playoffs, probably not great.
Yeah, but it's all about the record, though. It had nothing to do with anything, but he hit as soon as he hit the 2,000
but is he
marker,
even going to play next week?
Well, these are all the points. So this week he got to 2,000 total or 2,000 yards.
Yes,
and they immediately took him out. So he's now within like I think under 100 yards or right at the 100-yard marker to do it. So that's their choice. I mean, do you think they're going to? I think they're going to play him to take that record. Do you think they are going to bench him or what?
I kind of don't think there's any reason to play him. I mean, sure, if he wants the record, then you can put him out there. But with his injury history, you're coming up on the playoffs. This game means nothing. I would have a hard time being convinced to play him if I was Sirianni. So I would say no.
I think they're going to give him a half. I think what they're going to do is they are going to give him somewhere between 12 and 15 heavy carries in the first half. See how close he can get if he's with it. Because if you remember in this game, it's pretty low. It's like 40 something yards at the half. And then he broke one finally. If he's within striking distance, then I think they're going to let him go into the second half. I do not think he sees the fourth quarter. I really don't I think he sees a lot of the third quarter, but I think they're going to give him a shot at taking this bad boy, because I know he doesn't necessarily care and everything like that, but I think they are going to give him a shot at that record. Do you want to see that get broke, or will you hold anything against it being broken with one extra game, by the way?
No, I don't care. I mean, and also we can separate these records, which is what they're going to end up doing eventually anyway. But we're going to get an extra game added in a couple of years. So whatever, we're in the new era of records. So I if Saquon breaks it, I have no qualms with it at all.
We'll even go to some questions in here. I thought this was interesting. Not on the Eagles Cowboys. How comfortable should I be with a 60-point lead? Opponent has Jaden Daniels, Bijan, and Terry McLaurin yet to play. You shouldn't feel comfortable at all. You should be shaken in boots.
I would say you're probably like a 60% chance to win, but Daniels and Terry go off.
You think that's a 60?
I do. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you might be right about that.
I think it's a 60, but again, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, like 2 touchdowns to McLaurin, he might be hosed.
You might be host. Feel free if you got any other fun stuff to put in the chat. Like I said, the winners, the losers, any crazy scenarios. And if you lock down your championship, we will try to put up on the screen to celebrate you guys with the final live stream in there. But Cowboys, Eagles done. Hopefully you don't have to endure this for next week, because, all your Eagles are not going to play. They 100% should not be playing Jalen Hurts, even the concussion, get him into the playoffs. And what is the scenario with them, by the way? Do you remember?
They're locked into the 3 seed. It's the Lions and Vikings playing for and they might be locked into 2 seed because division winners. I forgot. So yeah, I think they're locked into number 2.
All right. Next up here, I was about to say number 2. The Buffalo Bills absolutely mud stomped the New York Jets. This game wasn't as close as wasn't it 40-0 at one point?
They beat the Enigma.
They beat him out of the game. It was so bad. Josh Allen, 182, 2 touchdowns, an amazing touchdown by Keon Coleman. He had the rushing touchdown, which, by the way, I just got to throw this out. I did one of my first touchdown parlay bets, and I also had the normal touchdown. Mike Evans scores the first touchdown. I had Josh Allen in, and then I took him out for Devontae Adams because I'm a big stupid idiot, and I would have cashed had I done Allen in there, but I was like, Adams, let's just go with it. I think that's what it was, and it hurt. It hurt a lot.
Good old hindsight. It's
big old stupid idiot. Yep. James Cook did well for you. 53 and a score. Cooper ended up getting a touchdown. Like I said, Keon Coleman had a touchdown. Shakir not getting what you need. Kincaid a couple in there. The Jets this is atrocious. Rodgers was abysmal. Breece Hall just did not get involved. They threw him 1 pass, and it was in the second half, which was crazy. Wilson 7 for 66, Adams 5 for 47. You didn't get anything you needed out of any of the Jets if you were banking on that. So Breece Hall was I think the biggest disappointment out of that entire group, because you at least got like in the vicinity of what you were getting out of Adams and Wilson, and you shouldn't have been starting Rodgers, frankly.
Think Garrett Wilson gets traded in the offseason?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the rumor is he says if Aaron Rodgers returns, he's gone. If that's true, I think Aaron Rodgers is gone from this team.
Yes, they don't.
So I think he stays. I think he's going to end up staying. Rodgers goes, and they have to revamp this. That would be my idea.
Yeah.
By the way, Sergio's going to take this. Achane, Mixon, Adams, JSN, all single digits.
Oof.
Oof.
Oh, man.
Also, that hurt.
Sergio. Sorry, man.
HUD, I'm up 14 points, and I have 2 scary Terry and Bijan Robinson, and my opponent has Laporta. I like your odds.
Yeah, you should win that one.
Yeah, I like your odds. We're rooting for Bijan because I got Bijan in FFPC, and I've got him in Pentathlon. So I am.
And he's Bijan, right?
And he's Bijan in general. That's
right.
100%. Any other takeaways on this one? Josh Allen MVP conversation. Is it done? Is it dead? Because the odds moved.
Lamar's got a lot of really good numbers, so I don't know if it's dead. But that is a tight race. I think it's tighter than it should be. I think Lamar is right on his heels, if not, in the conversation as well. I don't know. Like this time of year, I always keep looking towards the future, and I just like Dalton Kincaid. That's what I think of on the Bills. And like, how much better can Keon Coleman get? Is he going to be a nice buy next year? Because Amari Cooper, free agent, Matt Collins is a free agent. He should have a bigger role. That's kind of the stuff I'm more thinking of. So not too much to take away from this game for the next week.
Look at this. Up 30. Opponent has Terry and he's got Gibbs. I don't mean to. Yeah, I don't mean to jump ahead. Lock it up.
Yeah. You should win that one.
I would just say kind of lock it up. What was this? I drafted the following in order and won my league for $3K all-in winning pot. Taylor, Gibbs, DJ Moore, Smith, Kincaid dropped for, and you won that. That's pretty.
Dropped him for Jonnu. That's a good move.
That is definitely pretty killer. All right. Before we move on, we do want to let you guys know we've kind of been talking about this through the last couple of weeks. That obviously, like shows like this, we want to hear from you. We want to get you guys on. That's the whole point of these. But if you guys want to jump in, this is your chance to be heard more than ever. You can help shape the Fantasy Pros podcast by going to fantasypros.com/survey. And obviously, this isn't a start and sit question. These are going to be more answers from you. Things that you love that you did. Things you wish we would do more of. Maybe you wanted more live streams. Maybe you want more Bogman. Who knows? All the things you might want. I love to. So I'm a big positive guy. Bogman knows that about me. I'm always focusing on the positive. So let's focus on the positives. FantasyPros.com/survey. Take a couple minutes. We'd appreciate that. Be heard. Help out the show. Help out the stuff and the things. All right. Next game up here. Raiders and the Saints. Raiders won 25-10. O'Connell 242, a couple scores. Abdullah went over 100, which was very nice to see. Myers 5 for 61 in a score. That worked out well. Brock Bowers 7 for 77 on the Saints side. Rattler did Rattler things. We saw CEH, which, I mean,
he was in a game.
What do we do? Kendra Miller wasn't. Concussion, got knocked out, but also wasn't doing a whole bunch. Nothing really else to speak of. Remember that whole Olave thing? Everyone was like, hey, Olave.
Yeah. Why? I think it's hilarious that every player is hurt. CEH was the healthy one in this game for one time, but hopefully he gets his career back rolling. Not a great game and not a great offense to get behind to get it back on track here. Unfortunate for Kendra, but this has just been the story of his career. And, it's I was kind of like, man, Dennis Allen, he's so mean to this guy, but he is always hurt. Kendra is always constantly hurt. I don't think he's on this team next year. They need to hit the reset button in New Orleans. The Raiders too, like all you did here was lose draft picks by winning this game. I think Aiden O'Connell has shown enough to be the guy at the start of next year, because I don't think that any of the quarterbacks in the draft class are ready to drop in. I think they were way more prepared this year, and we saw Caleb Williams look like utter garbage this season. So I think O'Connell showed enough, but they need a running back. They need a new head coach. They need different targets. It's going to be the Brock Bowers show again in Vegas next year.
Crazy too. Didn't we have with the Giants and the Raiders winning?
The Patriots are now number one.
And then what is 2? Because isn't it the Giants?
Not sure.
Raiders I am the 3 maybe.
I think the Raiders dropped further back than that because I think they were only at 7.
Okay. So let me see if it's
the Giants should still be pretty high.
There we go. I got it.
The Panthers are high.
Patriots are 1. Titans are 2. Browns are 3. Giants are 4. Raiders went down to 8, and then you had the
8.
Jags, Panthers, and Jets that were in there. So that's where that kind of moved for the draft order here. Looking back at a couple of these things, Dredis, of course, voting for Bogman and the Welsh on the survey, which we deeply appreciate.
Thank you.
Jose, who has asked the same question no less than 14 times in the chat, McLaurin, not over Debo, McLaurin. And then I think it was also answered, thankfully, by our fantasy pros that the consensus also go Terry.
Terry.
Soho comes down to Monday night for me. I've got St. Brown, and opponent has Kittle. I'm down by 2 points.
You need Kittle to not score, I think, in that one. I think if Kittle doesn't get in the end zone, you should be okay. I think the yards and receptions probably should be close to the same. But I do is a big coin flip on that one.
Yeah,
it's gonna make you sweat. You're gonna have a great Monday Night Football game to watch. There's gonna be a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah. Oh, right here, Chuka said, Welch, I told you this AM about AJ Brown. Welsh, I don't listen if you're going to call me Welch, but I will say you weren't wrong.
He corrected himself. Yeah.
But AJ Brown scored a touchdown. So like I kind of got saved a little bit, but to the point there. All right, let's go to the next game here. Where are we as I look through here? Let's go to the Colts.
Yeah.
Colts and Giants. Giants won 45-33. Drew Lock, our savior. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous.
My dream.
Yeah.
I had a dream about Drew Lock earlier this year taking over for the Giants and, winning. So obviously,
Bogman literally, if you don't know the background, Bogman had a dream that Drew Lock was the quarterback. He came on our show and our In This League show and talked about it as a definitive,
as a fact.
And then the next day he realized that wasn't the case and it was a dream that he had. But Drew Lock, it was only the foresight of what happened for us and him winning. The big thing on the Giants was Malik Neighbors, and that was a really tough one. I was very pro Neighbors this week, so I feel good about that. Not everybody was there, and rightfully so. There were some injury worries, but he went for 7 for 171 and 2 scores. We also on the live stream, when we were calling me Welch, let's also mention that I did bring up Wan'Dale Robinson as a potential here, and Wan'Dale ended up having a day that you can take home if you were desperate. Jonathan Taylor, 125, 2 scores. Alec Pierce went ballistic, 9 for 122. Pittman, 9 for 109. The biggest disappointment was Josh Downs. So I think there's a lot of things to talk out of this one. Let's start with the Giants here for a second. New quarterback. A lot of people are shipping Shadir Sanders to the Giants. It's going to be tougher now at 4. What do you think the prospects of Malik Neighbors is next season after just seeing what he's done with just a host of the worst quarterbacks that they could align him with?
I think going into this week, he was second in targets and he missed a game, right? So like the targets are going to be there regardless of what terrible quarterback they have. And I think most terrible quarterbacks would be better than the conglomeration that they had this season, right? It was a big old mess. So I think there's I don't know if there's so much room for growth in points, but there's a lot of room for this offense to grow, which should mean more scores for a guy like Malik Neighbors and maybe more time of possession. So maybe even more targets. He's already amazing.
How and what is the scenario where Malik Neighbors is more valuable than Brian Thomas next year? And is that possible? Trevor Lawrence will be back.
We are in it right now. I already think that's, I already.
Oh, so you already are. I forgot about that. Because I
like Brian Thomas a lot, but Malik Neighbors is so unbelievably good. He's probably already top 5.
So Drew Lock is now the starting quarterback in 2025. Malik Neighbors over Brian Thomas for you?
Definitely makes it closer. Definitely makes it would make me give it a longer look. I just don't think I don't think it's going to be Drew Lock. I don't think this game is going to make him the starter next year. I think it's going to be like Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? Go prove that you're healthy, draft a young guy, have Kirk Cousins start, 10 games again, like he did this year. So that would make him exponentially better. So yeah, I think Malik Neighbors is Brian Thomas too. They're both unbelievably talented, but Neighbors he did this with a bunch of garbage.
I mean, so did Brian Thomas, technically. Mac Jones is quarterback.
I think coaching is worse in Jacksonville. There's so much going on. Yes.
It'll be very fun looking at what the future ranks for next season are going to be Brian Thomas versus Malik Neighbors. But, when you look at not just from a week perspective, but you look at the totality of the season, Brian Thomas is a league winner. Brian Thomas is the definition of that, where people, God, look what we paid for Marvin Harrison, then Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas just down there, and how he performed really was phenomenal. Wiley says, won my league despite playing Indy defense. That's another disappointment we didn't talk about. Indy defense. We have a DFS thing. I put them in -4 points in there. We still scored relatively well, even though I had Jordan Love at quarterback. But the Indy defense was ranked, I think, 2 this week or something like that. Just absolutely killed us. All of us.
Yeah, and I can't, you let Drew Lock score a bunch of touchdowns, 4 passing and a rushing touchdown. That is how bad. I think we were waiting for this Colts defense to look horrible all year, and we're like, at the end, we're like, you know what? Maybe they're a little bit better than we thought they were, and they were like, no, we aren't. We're still real bad. We'll lose our playoff spot here against the Giants.
This is kind of the question, just real quick. If Cam Ward is the quarterback and putting a rookie quarterback in, that's kind of the thing that I was alluding to. I was curious. My ideal situation when I asked that question about Neighbors, by the way, was like you not being the Neighbors stan that you are, being a little bit more Brian Thomas, that if a rookie quarterback comes in, you're worried. But if they were to go and sign like a veteran, I'm not saying they would do this, but like bring in Darnold, would that be the thing?
Right.
Like, but either way, it's for you. But Ward, having a rookie like Ward, who's a little bit project,
I would actually be worried if Ward was the week 1 starter a little bit, I think, because he does the same type of stuff. He has a very similar play style to Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams is going to set the record for most sacks taken in a year. And David Carr owns like 1 in 3, and I feel like he's going to pass both those guys. So he just holds the ball way too long. He's not ready to start in the NFL. I don't think any quarterback in this class is. Shedeur is the most likely to, but I still don't think he is. So a rookie would worry me a little bit more even than a bad vet. Go back to Geno Smith or something. I just don't like it.
Next game up, the Bucs destroyed the Panthers 48-14. We mentioned Baker Mayfield put a 5 spot up, went 359. Bucky Irving did Bucky things. He was incredible, went for over 100 on the ground. Also had 77 in the air receiving. Rachaad White did nothing for you whatsoever. Mike Evans, this was, not everything went right. Most things didn't go right this week. But boy, Mike Evans, told you they want to give him the touchdowns. They want to get him the catches. They want to get him the yards. He's got $3 million on the line. It's very within reach now. So that was kind of an easy call. McMillan had the 2 touchdowns. He was awesome. On the Panthers side, Bryce Young was Bryce Young. He made Adam Thielen really work. Thielen went for 110 and 2 scores. There was absolutely no running game with the late inactive of Chuba, which was that's one that he didn't do anything this week, like in a negative, but him getting put, on the IR, like that's one that's going to stay with a lot of people moving forward.
Right. That's one of the many reasons that, and one of the many players missing this week of why people want to move the championship week. So.
Yeah. Anything on this as far as what to cover? I think the Bucs are a freaking powerhouse. I think Bucky Irving is probably going to buy for a first, probably a second round pick next year. It's probably not going to be in one of the first few backs. Saquon wasn't a first round. You can't get a bunch, but I think he's going to be a top 2 round pick next year.
My first question out of this game was going to be, if you have 20 teams next year, how many Bucky Irving shares are you going to have? 15?
If I can get them, he's going to cost way more this year.
This dude right here, he is Bucky Irving's hype man.
I love
he is absolutely Bucky Irving's hype man, and it's going to be, I don't know if I can afford Bucky all over the place.
Yeah. If my wallet's thick enough, I might have to take up
if I keep getting a top 6 pick, then maybe I can take Bucky Irving in a bunch.
If he's a 3rd round pick, all the shares. If he's a 2nd round pick, we'll see. That type of investment. I'd love for Rachaad White to go away, but Bucky's he's that dude, man. He's absolutely that dude.
He's way better than Rachaad White.
Interesting thing too on McMillan, just want to point out, I don't know what it is, but for some reason he's a second half guy. Like he seems to get like the bulk of his stuff in the second half, but they do like him. He in the first half, he doesn't quite, I feel like, get some of the snap usage of like a real number 2, but by the time the game ends, he really does. So McMillan is a fun flex starter.
6 scores in the last 4 games for McMillan. So very, very good option. Him and Baker definitely making it happen in the second half here.
100%. Friendos, tomorrow or today, depending when I don't even know if this is going to be on the pod, if I'm being honest with you. If it is today, you could check it. But for all the live stream people, come on over to our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. Why? Well, let me give you a couple reasons. First off, we got an amazing community that you guys can go and check out. And the Discord is free. You can get in. There's some rooms that are completely free that you can hang out in. But let's take a step further. Also for free are our live shows. So Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Bogman, myself, and Mr. Joe Pisapia live for Out of Bounds. We do the podcast recording with a live audience. We've also got Worm and Fitz, 5 p.m. Eastern on the first Tuesday of each month. Fitz and Bogman at 5 p.m. Eastern on the third Tuesday of each month. We just sat down, the Extra Point show. That one is retired for the season. It'll be coming back next year, and we might have more offerings. So for free, come and check and hang out with our community, be a part of shows, be heard, be on shows, and you can check out the premium side as well, where you can have access to like our AMAs and everything. So love to have you guys over there. fantasypros.com/chat on the Discord. Bachman's hanging out in those Discords. All right. The Jaguars 20, Titans 13. Another kind of, they're not even kind of like, well, no, it is kind of in the disappointment range. Was the Tajay Spears stuff. And that's where I was leading to. Tajay Spears was like, must start, gotta play him, league, blah, blah. It was good. Like he had the
23 touches. I mean, not many guys got more hacks at it than him. So he was a good start, but you just get in the end zone.
Yeah. He didn't get heavy involvement in the receiving game. 3 for 8. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where you would have really made your bread. Rudolph was all right. Ridley was fine. 5 for 84. Nick Westbrook didn't do much. On the Jaguar side, it was all about Brian Thomas. 7 for 91 in the score. We did get a Parker Washington touchdown. There's absolutely no running game to speak of whatsoever. But, Spears was a massive play for a lot of people. And I think everyone's going to be indifferent about it at the end of the day with Pollard out.
Yeah, I mean, and if this sticks for Tennessee, if they're 2, they're going to be the first one up to select a quarterback. I mean, I don't know that any of these guys are ready to start, but I do think that a team like Tennessee has to take a shot at one. If you're picking that high, you're not going to get that opportunity again. So I would assume the Patriots having Drake May, are they going O-line or Travis Hunter? So, and I would assume it's Travis Hunter. And then number 2, maybe Cam Ward to Tennessee. He would make things a lot better there because they've already kind of revamped that O-line. So, but they need the engine. They have the rest of the car built. They need to drop the engine in there with a quarterback. So, Jacksonville, what do you see with Jacksonville outside of your love for Brian Thomas?
Well, I don't think there's much. I more speculate on like in the future, is this team going to make a commitment to Tank Bigsby or Etienne? Are they going to kind of keep this disastrous backfield that they keep going? Because they don't have much of a running game. The only other one to mention, and I think his okay performance still leads to, like, if you were playing in, week 18 to keep going, is Chig. Chig didn't get in the end zone, but he did catch another 5. He was a very popular play this week, but it's also why you didn't want to get too crazy. You know what I mean? You don't want to go too crazy in the starting Chig over blah. I mean, it didn't matter if he did over Tucker Kraft, but
he's been so much better with Rudolph. 10 targets, 11 targets, 7 targets the last 3 games for Chig. So, if Mason Rudolph is back and maybe he's like, we're going to give Mason Rudolph the first 5-6 weeks and then put whoever our draft pick is in there or whoever they sign could start. Maybe that works. It's just guy needs targets. When he gets them, he's very productive.
100%. Dolphins did beat the Browns 20-3. Tyler Huntley was a quarterback. There's another one. You're going to all remember Tua. Tua was out, but Huntley, by the way, 22 of 26 for 225 in the score is pretty damn good. And 52 on the ground with another touchdown. So very serviceable. Devon Achane was not. He was 10 for 25. He had 2 catches out of the backfield. It was all unders for H. And I'm actually kicking myself for not playing unders on him. Tyreek was good, though. 9 for 105. He was in a bunch of discussions. The Browns, I am very happy to report Judy was a play, and we had talked about
18 targets.
Yeah, 12 catches, 94 yards. Dorian Thompson-Robinson threw 47 passes, and they seemed like they were all to Jerry Jeudy. But he was the only play. Jerome Ford was a big, fat disappointment. Jerry Jeudy was the only Browns play. But I do think, again, like if you were playing into next week, to be able to know that that Jeudy ended up getting that type of run can make you feel good that you can keep starting him.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully whoever they get next year, or if they go back to Deshaun, hopefully he's more healthy. But I feel like Winston and now DTR have shown that Judy can be a good wide receiver. You need to give him the ball. I don't know. Maybe something clicked for him halfway through the year or whatever, because I don't think you're just so bad. But I mean, he was not in the best opportunity to start his career in Denver with some bad QBs. So, and then you go to Cleveland and it's supposed to be Watson, and then he's not only terrible, but then gets hurt, and it's Jameis. So hopefully there's, I'm just glad that he didn't look terrible again without Jameis.
Let me ask you real quick. Our boy Stank Mangione, who you can find on the Discord, says, I'm still going heavy wide receiver in my drafts next season, but Bucky would be huge to have. I'm not making this about Bucky. I want to ask you about Tyreek. What has happened to Tyreek for you, do you think? Tyreek was in conversation of the number one wide receiver this year, maybe as low as like 5 or something like that, with, Jefferson and Chase, and then the advent of guys like Neighbors and Puka, obviously. What do you think the high, which is going to be you're like the unapologetic Tyreek Hill person. What's the high, and then what's your version of low?
I mean, I don't know based on like draft for next year.
I'm not going to hold you to it, but that's what I'm saying. Like wide receiver, like
I would say the high will be low end wide receiver 1.
Okay.
He had a bad year.
Like 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, I think 10 is probably where he's going to sit. And I think a lot of people are going to have him lower than that. I don't think too many people are going to have him higher than that. So I think that's probably going to be his range, is 10 to 14 for most people, with some people dipping him lower than that in terms of like ECR and stuff. I'll say this, like, bad quarterback play. Tua got hurt again. Miserable quarterback play for a big chunk of the season. And then he got hurt. He had the wrist injury 6 weeks ago. We talked about with Deepak, who said it's just going to get worse as the season goes on. And he had a pretty decent game today. So, I still, Tyreek Hill is just open on every play. That's the problem. Like, he had problems catching the ball because of the wrist injury, and they couldn't get him the ball, but he's still open on every play. It's still unbelievably fast. That quick twitch, just no one can keep up with him still, even aging. So, a lot of contributing factors there to make him a good buy for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on the kind of the opposite end. I'm not sure I'm going to have him inside my top 15. I'd have to sit here and like go through, but like Neighbors over him, Brian Thomas absolutely over him. I'd have to be like looking at the crew.
Yeah, well, right now, like, here's just your top per game guys: Chase, Jefferson, Higgins, Amon-Ra, Puka, Nico, Malik. Those guys are all easily ahead of him. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Brown. Mike Evans, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin. I think those guys are probably ahead of him. But then you start to get into like, is JSN? Did you say Brian?
Okay,
yeah, I said Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
JSN, Ladd. Is Rashee Rice coming back? How long is he suspended? That's a big question. I think those are the guys where you start to go, okay, Tyreek versus those guys.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's somewhere between 12 and 15. It's like you said that, and I'm thinking I might have Ladd over Tyreek Hill next year.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about some of those. That's the kind of general range as far as what the disappointment is there. Speaking of disappointment, how about the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings? The game ended up looking so much closer than it actually was. The Packers just were not in this game. I was texting with Debro during this. Celebrity shout out there, no big deal. And I'll tell you, man, I'm trying to find why can I not get the box score here of the game? I don't know what happened. Something was wrong with Jordan Love. They did not trust him. They didn't want to throw the ball. They didn't throw the ball to the end. He had like 60 yards in the first half. They ran on the first down of what seemed like every single play. The 27-25 is not remotely close. And I'm just shocked even seeing the stat line after that Jordan Love threw 30 passes. But I don't know what happened. The play calling was bad. They did not trust him. They tried to go to Josh Jacobs. Everybody stunk on that Packers team. And then they ended up churning out, Josh Jacobs was fine. Josh Jacobs did his thing, but like there was no Jaden Reed. Kraft was kind of from that last pat. Love just looked so bad, man.
Yeah, I don't know. How was he against Minnesota the last time they played?
354. I was all on
389 for 4 touchdowns. He
went nuts.
Yeah, he did. He went crazy. That was at home. This is away. Maybe there's something with the crowd noise. I don't know. I also kind of feel like, do the Packers need a playmaker? Because it's not Jaden Reed. It's not Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed has fell off the most, I feel like, of almost anybody. this year. I'm sure there's a better example, someone that's fallen off more, but he fell off a ton. You have Debo, Brandon Ayuk. But I don't I don't know CMC. I don't know if these Dobbs, Wicks, Reed, is this group good enough to put them in contention with like the Lions and what the Vikings have with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jordan Addison? Like, they may need to go out and get a playmaker in the draft or in free agency. I just think of this may not be enough for him.
I hate this rotational thing they do. Like, give me a guy. Give me like the guy. Jaden Reed drops passes. Dobbs, he cries and goes home if he doesn't get the ball until they just decide to throw him more. Christian Watson is always hurt. And then you're talking about just like, Dontavian Wicks. Like, yeah, I think they need better playmakers. Obviously a better line. Jordan Love looked bad. On the Vikings side, I got to tell you, Addison, I had first touchdown Jordan Addison, and he dropped that, and it broke my heart. He did end up going 6 for 69 in a score.
Have you officially moved to my side of the Jordan Addison love train now? Okay.
Yeah, he looks healthy. He's back. He looks good, and Darnold's targeting him. Darnold was phenomenal, 377 and 3 touchdowns. That's where the 300-yard passer was. It was always Darnold. Aaron Jones banged around, didn't do a ton, and Justin Jefferson didn't score, but 8 for 92. It was kind of all the playmakers that you thought. Everybody outside of like Naylor getting heavily involved because they were trying to shut out Jefferson and Addison. Everybody else kind of did what they were expected, sans Aaron Jones as well. Anything else on the Packers and the Vikings for you?
I don't think so. I'm interested to see what this quarterback situation is like for the Vikings next year. Are they going to re-sign Darnold? I think it depends on the depth of the playoff run. We kind of talked about this on Out of Bounds last week, but because McCarthy, very, very good pick. We're all wanting to see what he has, but if they go to the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, it's hard to break that up. So
I think they're going to. I think they have been like making those little comments the entire like last couple of weeks where they're just like, yep, be whatever he wants to do. Like, we wish him well. Like they're going to go to McCarthy. I think they're going to bid him adieu. But I get exactly what you're saying. Like, he has been great. I mean, just went for 377. There's a point where you kind of force people's hands, but this is one of those where it's like he's not a backup quarterback. He looks like he needs to be in a good spot. Sarge said, my work league goes to week 18. I made the championship. Let's go. Thanks, T and BTJ. Let's
go.
Yeah, I love seeing some of those. Final up here. The game is going to start in about 5 minutes. Again, I don't remember if this is going to be on the podcast feed or not, but just talking about the Sunday night game with the Commanders and the Falcons. Any prediction? Anything you want to throw? We've had a lot of different questions. People are very torn on Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin is kind of in the must-play territory. Bijan. I mean, I'm not getting cute with too many things. Like, I'm starting Terry, I'm starting Bijan, I'm starting Jaden, I'm starting all my guys and putting it in the hands of the fantasy gods.
What is the question? Who are we benching McLaurin for at this point?
Well, someone earlier had the question that they were worried about like weather in this, and they were going to put maybe Debo in over Terry McLaurin. I don't trust Debo enough.
I don't. The one good game from Debo, I'm not going back to him. That's I just can't trust it. So I would be sticking with Scary Terry. And just look, Jaden Daniels looks unbelievable. He looked so good against what we thought was the best defense in the league last week. Against Philly, I benched him in a league and lost because I benched him in a league because they were playing Philly. So I'm going all with all of the Commanders. I even had Brian Robinson in lineup. He was miserable last week. Don't know how I survived with him in my lineup, but we're rolling it again. Hopefully he doesn't get 2 yards and fall on his face and fumble.
Sean says, I got Gibbs, J-Mo, and Scary Terry versus Goff and Laporta down 14 points, full PPR. You think he has this?
Yeah, I do.
I think you got this. I was going to ask you, do you think the Monday night game, Niners, Lions, are the Lions going to route this?
I kind of think so. But but if they route, it's a dangerous betting game, I feel like, because if they do win big, I think you start seeing guys sit more because everything comes down to next week. Next week, they're playing for the number 1 seed. This game tonight or tomorrow night probably doesn't really mean too much for the Lions.
But if they get to the point where they're sitting because it's a route, have your players already scored? See, I think that's where people get kind of cute. Like, what is that? I think that's where it makes Gibbs, and that makes Amon-Ra can be different. You're starting all your guys. I'm not benching
any of my normal Lions. I don't care. Like if you wanted to dump Laporta or something, or you wanted to get Jameson Williams out of there, then fine. But I do think they win going away, Detroit.
All right. One more question for you. Bowers, first round next year?
I don't know if he's a first round guy. I'll say no, I'll say a firm no on that, because who is the quarterback? The touchdowns are what kept him from. George Kittle is averaging more points per game than Brock Bowers going into this week, because he has 8 touchdowns and Bowers has 4. So we need him to get in the end zone more. We need some more. Just need better quarterback play. So, if some amazing quarterback ends up in Vegas, then sure, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Sarge said, thanks, Fantasy Pros. Feel pretty good. Got guys we need to play, so looking pretty solid next week for you guys playing in week 18. And friends, that's everything. It's great. It's a crazy time. We got the Sunday night game coming up. You have some big players that are going to finish out your championship with those Falcons. Bijan, Drake London. You got Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and the Monday game really has a chance to do some things. I think the 49ers are the biggest questions of who wants to really start any of them. And are we going to be trustworthy with all those Lions? I'll tell you this right now. I have alt bet the Lions spread to 9.5. I've kind of laddered it. So I'm on the Lions tomorrow, self-hating.
Oh, no.
Yep.
I don't feel great about it. I feel like the Lions are going to get up by like 17, and then the Niners are going to backdoor something when they bench people.
They can score a touchdown. Yeah, get it to 10. That's fine. I'm not going any further. But there you go. That's it. That's all. By the way, everyone's saying route like a blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everyone's like,
is that a Southern thing?
Yeah, something.
Is that an Arizona thing?
Yeah, it's gonna be a route. Like they're gonna it's gonna be like a blowout.
That might be a word that was just said around my family, and then I started saying it around you.
I've said it forever though.
Yeah, well, so have I, and we've also known each other forever. So
maybe
that is a Bogman and Welsh special, but I don't think it is.
It's like a blowout. Guys, that's it. Congratulations to everybody in your championship wins. Feel you on any of the losses. We got big things coming down to Monday night as well. Some stuff going on over at Fantasy Pro. So make sure you're checking out the Discord as well. Discord's a great place as we're kind of coming to an end of the season. FantasyPros.com/chat. It's free. Be a part of the community. Don't miss out on any of the stuff that's going on. We are having our listeners be a part of shows more than we've ever done before, being on mock drafts, doing these shows that are in Discord. We may have more new shows. There's a new one on Betting Pros as well with Peralt and Joe Pisapia, which is a great one. So we're always doing these things. Surveys help for it, but you can be a part of it and get voiced and be a part of all of it. FantasyPros.com/chat. We'd love to have you. That survey, by the way, FantasyPros.com/survey. Fill that out and just voice a couple things that you like. Definitely focus on the positive. But if you got some negatives, you can do that. Like I said, as long as it's not about me, that's what the key thing is here. And as I mentioned before, win some free stuff. FantasyPros.com/contest. Can win that Jackson Smith in Jigba helmet. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us all season. Bogman, you and I were sitting here week 1. It's crazy that we're here already. My Sundays are now actually free up, but we did it. Boggs, shout out to you for, I think pretty much you were here.
I think I missed 2.
Yeah, you were here more than I was, more than me or Seth was. So let's give a shout out to Bogman. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for tuning in and being a part of this show and just everything. We appreciate you. The love for fantasy football has never been bigger, and we appreciate everyone sticking with us the whole year. So much fun. Appreciate you guys.
And remember, the season doesn't end here. We've still got a ton of offerings. Some of our shows have changed out. I'm still doing the prediction show. We've got a start and sit this week. We're going to be doing some playoff shows, especially on the betting side, and some from fantasy predictions. And then the off-season dynasty coverage. Bogman's a part of that. I know Debro's going to be breaking into it. You got the combine, you got the draft. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/fantasypros, and wherever you listen to podcasts, because we got tons and more, if not than ever before. For Mr. Scott Bogman, I am Chris Welsh. We love you guys, and thank you for hanging out with us all season long. Congratulations on the championships, but we are out for now. Peace out.
See ya.